from another author. Hi everybody, I'm sorry I can't stand. I really would love to stand and look at all of you, but my knees suck.
So you don't stand, you can't stand this?
Yeah, and this one always puts words into my mouth. But anyway, please know that I really appreciate you all coming here and for this book signing. This is really very exciting for me. I've been a publicist since 1990, and I've never written a book about publicity. And I thought, wait a minute, Sherri, don't you think it's time? Don't you think maybe you have a little knowledge that you can help people? So I started thinking about the kind of book that I would want to put together, and it's really a compilation of a lot of blogs that I've written. I have this blog called Redhead's Rap. So I went through the blog and I realized, my goodness, I had written so much about publicity. Let me put it all together and make it into a book. And, you know, with the help of Paul Shulkin, right in the front. Paul, you want to stand up? Who is my editor. And Chris Donnelly is sitting in the back from Canada. And Amy, my assistant, who took a lot of pain and anguish from me. It took months and months to put this together, but as you can see, the end result really turned out great. And what I wanted to do is, I know all of us are really overwhelmed in our lives, and the last thing we want to do is keep on reading about, okay, you do this for publicity, you do that for publicity. So what I tried to do was keep it simple, keep it short, and actually keep it interesting with a lot of the photos in the book, so that you can open the book anywhere and you can learn something. And even if you lose your place, it's that kind of a book. If you're tired and you just want to pick up a book and open it anywhere, you learn something. I love stuff like that. It's like, if I have a poetry book, sometimes I'll just be in bed and I'll be so exhausted and I'll go, okay, wherever it is, I'm going to read it. And sometimes it's the most perfect thing that I needed to read and that I needed to see. So I just wanted to share with you also how I got into publicity. And it's a huge lesson that I learned about myself, how I got into publicity and what happened from there. Many years ago, I was in theater, and I wasn't making any money, and I just was getting a divorce from my husband, and I needed to make some money. So in the days when we all read the New York Times in our hands and not online, I put an ad in the Situations Wanted column for administrative assistant job. So the phone rings, and I get a call. This is 1990, from a self-published author. She wants me to be a publicist for her book that's 10 years old. So I said to her, what's the name of the book? She said, How to Satisfy a Woman Every Time and Have Her Beg for More. So I said, is this a porno book? She said, no, why don't you come over and I'll show it to you. Anyway, and I said, why did you pick me? It was an ad for administrative assistant. She said, I just felt you were really resourceful. And I just had some intuitive feeling that you would be the best. So I went over, she had a townhouse on 61st Street with a Vietnamese pig running around, an injured pigeon with one wing in a cage, and outside I was to work in the garden. It was one media book and a phone. And that was it. It was my first job. And so I began by the seat of my pants. And in 3 weeks, she said to me that I was the best that she ever had. And there was, what happened after that, within 6 months, now mind you, the book was 10 years old. So people in the publishing industry were laughing at us. You know, this was a big joke. And the next thing you knew, within 6 months, the book went on the New York Times bestseller list, and it stayed there for 63 weeks. And people were calling me to get her booked on Oprah, on all the big TV shows, on the radio shows.
Sherri. So you satisfied the woman and had her begging for more.
Or had the whole world.
Satisfied both of us. So what I learned from that when I looked back was I realized at that time in my life, before I did this work, I didn't feel as though I was good at anything. I just thought I was stupid, I had nothing to offer, and I had nowhere to go in business. And this was auspicious coincidence that this happened. And I began to see that I had these gifts, because through this, I began to see my gifts that I had to offer, not only in business, but in my personal life. And one of the biggest lessons I learned from all of this, and this is for everybody, it's not just about publicity, is you learn all the rules, whatever they could be. You learn them, and then you learn how to break them. And that was huge. And also, if somebody says no, that's fine. Let them say no all they want. But there's always another way to get in the door. And there's always a way to open the door. Because I've had so many people say no to me, week after week after week. And I would call in a very lovely way, not in an aggressive way. This happened with Howard Stern when he went syndicated throughout, before he went into Sirius XM. But he had a syndicated radio show. And this client that was on the New York Times bestseller list, I would call his producer. It wasn't every week. I would call him every 2 weeks. And finally, after about, it must have been 6 weeks, he said, the producer said to me, if I hear the name blah, blah, blah once again, he said, I'm going to scream. So there was silence, space, and I said to him, this is my job. This is what I do. I want to tell you how great she is, and she's a match for Howard. He said, okay, Sherri, have her in the studio tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. in the morning. As a result, she was on his show every other month for a couple of years. She was constantly, because they just hit it off, and anything insulting that he said to her, she would never take personally, and she could always give it right back to him. Although, just aside, I mean, I'm very sensitive. I went with her one time. She said, please come with me. I said, Nora, he's going to say something. I can't stand it. He's going to make fun of me. Sure enough, it was in the dead of winter. You know, the limousine brings us on, wearing these big boots, a long skirt, but big, big boots. We go in the studio. She sits with Howard. I sit in the other studio, and I'm watching. And the next thing I hear him saying is, Nora, who's the lesbian president came in with you. And I went, oh shit. And don't you think a friend of mine in Boston was driving over the Mystic River Bridge, and he called me and he said, I just heard about you on the Howard Stern show. But, and also too, when I first went into publicity, I didn't really think about the kind of books or the kind of writers that I wanted to work with. I never really gave it a thought. I was so excited about making it in the business, I never gave it a thought. But then, in between this, making it, I just got this calling to go live at a Buddhist retreat center in 1995, which she went berserk. And most of my friends thought I was absolutely out of my freaking mind, including my 2 sons. But I might have looked great on the inside, but I knew on the inside I needed a lot of help. So I left. I left everything, and I went to live at a Buddhist retreat center for 2 years. I came back a very different person, but then I got scared. I said, I love publicity. I love what I do, but I want to work with men and women who are doing good things in the world. How are they ever going to find me? And I don't lie. Do you think that they'll want to deal with a publicist that doesn't lie, that tells it like it is? So I was very scared about all this. This was a consciousness that had come up through the 2 years that I lived at the Buddhist Retreat Center. And somehow, again, these like-minded authors, they found me. And in 1998, I was doing books on spirituality. Who did books on spirituality in 98? I even had an author that spoke about Buddhism. I mean, the stuff that I took on was not the norm during that time. But I was so in love with the book and the author that I was willing to take it on. And somehow I found places for these authors to have a voice. Because when we work with authors, no matter who they are, we will design a package for them, for the people who are interested in what they have to say. I know a lot of people will hire a publicist and get a package deal. And they'll get really excited because it's cheap. But guess what? Sure, he or she can get you 30 interviews, but the people don't know what you're talking about, and they could care less what you're saying. So what we do is we design a package where any kind of show that we put you on, they're going to get excited about what you're talking about, and they're going to want to buy your book. And this doesn't mean I don't do traditional stuff, because I'll also put people, national TV, national radio, wherever I think they could go, I will put them. And also, I love to be provocative, in case you didn't know that about me. And a lot of times, I will take clients that have something very provocative to say. And one of the clients I have right now, she just went through breast cancer. Her book is called, well, I don't want to push anything. I'll just say to you, her book is out now and I'm doing publicity. But the quote that she said was, and this is what got me to work with her, because I usually don't want to work with something so depressing. But one of the quotes she said, "Cancer is not a gift. I can't return this gift. And I just felt like she did. This is my opinion. You may not agree with me. But personally, I feel as though this culture has minimized what people actually go through when they have cancer. We all have had people in our lives who have either been challenged with cancer, died of cancer. We know what they've gone through. And also she writes about this pink ribbon culture. It's just, I feel like she has, that we've minimized what's going on about culture and all about cancer, and all the money that we've donated. Isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing that they haven't found a cure? That is so amazing to me. And it's something to really ponder. In any event, this is a very provocative subject, and there are a lot of people that will not want her on the show. But there is an audience that feels the same way, and they do want to have her on the show. And that's all the talking I want to do. But if you guys, anybody's got any questions, I will answer it to the best of my ability. Anybody want to ask any questions about publicity, writing, self-publishing, editing, whatever, designing?
Sherri, I know you have a website, but do you also have business cards?
Yeah, this is my business card.
Okay.
So this is a little bit unusual.
Okay.
This is my business card.
Oh, I love it.
So I'm using a sticker.
Okay.
And it's got my website on the bottom of it.
Okay.
I wanted to use something different. I was really getting tired of the business cards. And guess what? Most people, when they get home, a lot of them dump them, or they forget about them, or there's just a big pile, or whatever. And I just wanted to do something different. So I decided to do the sticker thing. And I think people really have fun with this too.
Yeah. That lady over there has a question.
I
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
You don't? I thought you did.
No, I didn't. I'll ask you a question. So, Sherri, how has the business of publicizing books changed since the advent of the internet and social media and e-books, Kindle, all of that? How has your work changed?
Blogging, mostly online stuff. It's gone online. A lot of people just like to read Kindle or PDF. But I'm bi. I go both ways. I love to have a book in hand, and I love to read online. I can also do blogging, but I haven't changed about if a client sends me an email, a potential client, I pick up their phone and I want to talk to them. I can't explain it to you. In my business, which is communication, there's a lot of people that just do email. That may work for them, but I love, my way is, connecting with people, and the way I connect best is on the phone. And a lot of times, you can be so misunderstood. It can be so slippery. On email, you may mean one thing, and by the time they receive it, they're taking it another way. So I just feel the safest way, too, and I can answer the question. It's like, I don't have to go, blah, 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 blah. I'll just go, why don't we speak? And anything you want to ask me, I'll be more than happy to answer you. And, a lot of times when you speak to people, there's just connections you make that maybe you wouldn't have made, by email. And I know there are some clients that write to me via email and they'll say, how much do you cost? And I tell them, and I probably will never see them again. But I respectfully give them my rates. And usually that's kind of the end of that. Very few, they're saying, a lot of people say traditional publicity is dead. That's not true. Radio is still important. TV is still important. It's true, there was a lot more TV shows that interviewed authors than they do now. But, there's still, NPR, there's nothing more powerful than to get a client, with a storyline on NPR or, on radio throughout the country. You can do it now from the comfort of your own home. You don't have to leave. And, I do a lot of blogging now. If somebody just wants to go on a blog tour, that's what I'll do on their behalf. We didn't have that when I first started out. It was just radio, TV, it was just a book, and it was a whole press kit. Everything now is all done online.
Well, it was also book tours, traveling around to places, talking at bookstores and universities and things like that.
And some people still, what you also can do now is go on Skype and have a whole book club. And they can read your book, and then you can discuss it with having the author right there, which is fabulous. The book, there's not as many bookstores as there used to be. And most of the times they still have a prejudice with self-published authors. They just as soon have authors that are famous with the bookstores. And of course it's very different too. It used to be there was a Barnes and Noble on every single corner, and now they've just closed so many of them. So it's changed dramatically. And more people now, it's in their own hands. They can self-publish. They don't have to wait a year or two for the publisher. It's great. I'm not taking that away. It's wonderful if you get a book published by a publisher, a major publisher. That's great. But also, if you have the know-how and the right people with you, what you can do on your own with the self-publishing, and you can get it out there much, much faster. So it gives people a chance, because a lot of times people were refused by literary agents, they were refused by publishers, and they just wanted to give up. But now it's just open. Yeah, it's open for a lot of trash, but it's also open, for people to be empowered and to do it on their own. And it's really important, if you decide to do it on your own, that you have good people around you. That you hire. It's like I say, it takes a village to put out a book. And I could never have done it alone. Could never have done it alone. Yeah. But now you have so many more choices, and it's fabulous. When you go in an airplane, you don't have all these books. You've got a Kindle, and it's like you've got how many books on the Kindle that you can read. It's fabulous. So that's why the book that I have comes in softcover and ebook form too. So whichever you prefer is great. And it's so great now because they give you a sample of it. You get a hit of it. And maybe you'll decide, I don't like this. I don't want to buy it. But And I love now that you can look in the books and just see what they're about. And you can see, usually you know when you're connected to something. This really feels good, I want to get this. It happens to me with books that are sent to me. If I don't get turned on within the first 3 chapters, I'm not going to work with the person. Because if I don't get excited about it, what will media do? So I have to get excited about it, and that's going to transmit for the work that I do on behalf of the authors. And also it's like the whole media kit now is online. You know, it's important for you to have a website. It's important for you to put the book up. It's important for you to have a media kit. Your press kit, you know, you have the press kit. Is that a dog in the house? You can put the press kit. You can put suggested questions to ask the author. Producers love that. It makes their job so easy. You know, a bio of the author, a photo of the author. Sometimes they'll think they're so gorgeous or so handsome. Oh my God, I have to have them on the TV show. I mean, I can't, you know, not have them. And then sometimes also, if you go to bloggers online and they said, I'm all jammed up, ask them if you can write a short blog for them. And 9 out of 10 times, they'll say yes. So that's another way for you to get your book out there. So again, if somebody says no to you, just find other ways that you can open the door. Because there are many, many other ways, and I've had so many no's said to me, and somehow I've found creative ways for them to say yes and to open the door. So anybody also that bought a book, and if you want me to sign it, just, you know, I'm going to go over to the desk. And if you want me to sign your book, I'll be more than happy to. And I'm just really, this is like a dream come true. And the best thing, the best legacy that I can give is sharing what I know. And helping others and preventing them from making really huge mistakes. And that's what I feel we're all about, is really helping each other.
Thank you, Sherri.
Thank you.